The gift of insult, the twin suns were setting on the planet Velmer, painting the skies with deep orange and violet. The palace of Lord Ravener, a powerful alien noble, stood tall like a silent mountain of black stone. Inside the cold halls of the palace, humans were seen as nothing more than tools workers, engineers, soldiers, and sometimes toys for the nobles. One of these humans was Markin, a quiet and serious man. He worked as a ship engineer under Ravener's service. Markin never spoke much. He just did his work, fixed what was broken, and kept to himself. The aliens laughed behind his back, calling him the Silent Machine. But Markin was not a fool. He watched, he listened. And most of all, he remembered. One evening, Lord Ravener called Markin to the main hall. The room was full of alien nobles dressed in glowing robes. Their sharp eyes and cruel smiles made the air feel heavy. Ravener stood on the top step of the throne. His voice was loud and proud. "Markin the human," he said, "you have served my house for 10 cycles. Some say you are clever. Others say you are loyal. I say you are dull and silent, like an old tool. So today, I give you a gift, a very special one." He waved his hand, and 2 guards entered, pushing a small hover chair. Sitting in it was a young alien girl. Her head was lowered. Her body did not move. Her arms were thin, her legs weak. Her eyes, however, were open, and they stared straight at Markin. "This," Ravener said with a cruel smile, "is my daughter Lyra. She was born broken, useless. She cannot walk, cannot fight, cannot speak much. She is a shame to my house. But perhaps you can find some use for her." The room echoed with laughter. It was not a gift. It was an insult. Markin looked at the girl. Her skin was pale silver, her hair a soft blue. Her eyes were dark, deep, and strangely calm. There was no fear in them. No shame. He did not look at the noble. He did not bow or speak. He walked to the hover chair and gently placed his hand on its edge. "I accept," he said simply. The laughter died down, replaced by surprise. Even Ravener raised one brow. "You do?" he said. "Well then, enjoy." That night, Markin took Lyra back to his quarters, a small room in the lower part of the palace. It had no windows, just old walls and a steel table filled with tools and broken parts. He placed her chair near his bed and sat across from her. "You're not a joke to me," he said quietly. Lyra said nothing. Her head moved slightly, like she was trying to speak, but her lips barely parted. Markin noticed a faint light in her eyes, almost like a signal. Something hidden. He scanned her body using a small handheld device. Her spine had strange scars. There were marks near the back of her head. Someone had done something to her mechanical implants, nerve blocks, old alien tech. "This isn't just illness," he whispered. "Someone did this to you." For the first time, Lyra's lips moved slightly. "Father did not want me to remember," she whispered, almost like the wind. Markin's eyes narrowed, so she could speak, though barely. And she remembered something. He stood and walked to his workbench. Years ago, he had worked on advanced human neural gear machines made to heal the brain, rebuild memory, and unlock the mind. It was banned in noble zones, but Markin had kept one small prototype hidden. He looked back at her. "I won't force you," he said, "but if you want help, I can try." Lyra blinked slowly, one blink, then another. Markin understood it as a yes. Over the next few days, Markin worked in silence. He modified the neural gear to match alien patterns. He created soft connectors that wouldn't hurt her skin. He moved carefully, slowly, always watching her eyes for any sign of pain. Bit by bit, she changed. Her hands began to twitch. Her voice grew a little stronger. Her eyes became brighter, more alive. On the 6th day, she whispered a full sentence. "They locked my mind," Markin nodded. "I thought so. Why?" she asked. He looked at her. Because they were afraid of what you could become. Lyra stared at him. You are not afraid? No, Markin said. I think you're more than they ever knew. Outside, the nobles still laughed at their joke. They thought Markin was a fool for keeping the broken girl. But inside the small room, something powerful was beginning, not a machine. Not a weapon, a mind. And Markin knew deep in his bones that this girl, this quiet girl with hidden eyes and a sealed mind, was not a burden. She was a beginning. Awakening in the shadows, days passed quietly in Markin's small room, far from the noise of the alien nobles' upper chambers. Inside the stillness, something was changing. Lyra, once unable to move or speak, now blinked clearly, spoke slowly, and moved her fingers with effort. Her voice was still weak, but her words became sharper, clearer. Markin worked around the clock. He built a simple robotic frame to support her back and spine. He designed soft leg braces with human tech muscles to help her stand. He modified the neural headband daily, adjusting the signal to match her growing brain activity. She sat silently most of the time, watching everything. Markin noticed it. Her eyes no longer wandered in confusion. They focused. They followed patterns. On the wall, blinking lights, the rhythm of machines. One evening, she spoke a strange sentence. The power grid here has a delay of 0.3 seconds. Markin paused. How do you know that? I can feel it, she replied. It hums differently when it resets. That was not something most aliens or even machines could sense. You see patterns? He asked. Lyra nodded slightly. All things speak. Not with voice. With rhythm. I see it in light, in sound, in numbers. Markin stared at her, unsure of what to say. This was no ordinary mind. This was something rare, possibly forbidden. Your father feared you, he said quietly. He tried to erase my thoughts. Lyra whispered. Said I made him look weak. Said no noble daughter should think like a machine. Markin clenched his fists. The alien nobles were proud and cruel. To them, emotion was weakness. And intelligence, especially from a girl, was even worse. But Markin saw something else in Lyra. She was more than just smart. Her mind could see through the chaos of the universe like it was a puzzle. She was not broken, that she was special. That night, Markin took a risk. He connected her neural band to his ship's old star map system. The map showed dozens of stars and jump paths, routes used by ships to travel across space. He watched her eyes. They moved quickly, scanning the stars. These routes, she said slowly. They're wrong. Markin leaned forward. What do you mean? 3 of them lead into energy voids. One jumps into a star's death pulse. One route disappears. Markin was stunned. How can you tell? She pointed to small details on the map. Gravity lines. Red shift readings. You didn't notice because your mind is built to fix. Mine is built to see. Markin smiled. You're incredible. Lyra's lips twitched. It wasn't quite a smile, but it was the first sign of emotion he'd seen. The next morning, trouble came. 2 guards knocked at his door. One of them, a tall alien with sharp eyes, entered without asking. The noble wants an update, he said coldly. What? Have you done with the gift? Markin stood in front of Lyra. She's resting. She's not dead yet, the guard mocked. Strange. Most humans break old things apart. I'm not most humans, Markin said calmly. The guard looked past him. He saw Lyra sitting quietly, wearing the neural band. Her robotic braces made her sit upright now. She looked straight at the guard without fear. She looks awake, the guard said with a frown. Markin shrugged. She's learning, the guard grunted. Watch yourself, human. If Lord Ravner thinks you're giving her ideas, he'll take her back. And this time, he won't be kind. Markin said nothing. He waited for them to leave. When they were gone, Lyra looked at him. He fears me too, Markin nodded. Because they know what you could become. She was quiet for a while, then whispered, I remember something. Hidden under the main hall. Markin turned toward her. What? Do you mean? A door, she said slowly. I saw it when I was small. No one was allowed near it. Father used to go there with others. They called it the Vault of Silence. Markin felt a chill. He had heard rumors of hidden rooms beneath Noble Palace's old tech. Lost machines, alien secrets never meant for public eyes. Do you know what's inside? He asked. No, she said. But my father once told someone, if she ever remembers what's beneath, we will all fall. Markin stared at her. What could be so dangerous that even an alien noble feared it? Later that night, Lyra stood for the first time. It was shaky. Her robotic braces whirred softly. Markin held her arms for balance. I want to walk, she said firmly. You will, he replied. Step by step she moved across the room. Her face showed pain, but not weakness. She did not cry or scream. She walked like someone born to fight gravity. And when she reached the table and turned, Markin saw something in her eyes that made him stop breathing. Purpose. She was no longer just healing. She was preparing. By the end of the week, Lyra's voice was steady. She walked short distances with support. Her mind continued to surprise Markin. She drew star maps from memory. She corrected machine errors by hearing the hums. She even improved Markin's neural tech, saying the signal feedback was off by 0.004. And then, one evening, she said something that changed everything. I know what's under the palace. Markin looked up. You remembered? She nodded. It's not just old tech, it's a map. A map to something buried far outside the noble sectors. What kind of map? To a machine built before their time. A system that controls the roots of stars. Markin felt his chest tighten. You mean it can shift gravity paths, control space lanes? Yes, she said softly, and my father tried to use me to find it. But when I got too close, he erased my mind. Markin knew then. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. Lyra wasn't just a lost daughter. She was the key to a power that could change the galaxy. The silent spark, the plan was simple but dangerous. The Vault of Silence was hidden deep. Under Lord Ravenor's palace, no one was allowed near it. No worker, no soldier, not even noble children. It was said that anyone who tried to enter without permission vanished, but Lyra remembered the way. She had seen it once, long ago, before her father ordered her mind to be locked. Now, she had remembered everything. That night, Markin turned off all outside signals in his room. He used an old jamming device so that no camera or scanner could watch them. He and Lyra stood in silence. Her body was still weak, but she wore her support braces. She could now walk short distances with focus. I can guide us, Lyra said softly. But we must not be seen, Markin nodded. He placed a small chip behind her ear. If anything goes wrong, this will hide your signal. But we only get one chance. They stepped out into the empty hallway. The palace was sleeping. Only a few guards walked the outer walls. Lyra moved quietly, her steps light, her eyes alert. She led Markin through the narrow back corridors, places even he had never seen. They passed storage rooms, closed doors, and long unused paths covered in dust. Finally, they stopped in front of an old lift, its surface scratched and rusted. This goes down to the vault, Lyra said. But the access panel is locked. Markin pulled out his toolkit. Give me a minute. He worked fast, hands steady. After 3 minutes, the panel blinked green. The door opened. They stepped inside. As the lift descended, a low hum filled the air. The walls around them felt thicker, heavier. It was like moving into the belly of a dead beast. When the doors opened again, they saw it. The Vault of Silence. It was a massive chamber, round in shape, with smooth black walls. The air was cold and still. At the center stood a giant circular device floating slightly above the ground. Symbols glowed on its surface, none in any known language. This is it, Lyra whispered. The star engine key. Markin stepped closer. How does it work? Lyra moved slowly, placing her hand near the symbols. As she touched the floating surface, a soft blue light passed through her fingers. The device responded. Lines lit up, spinning slowly like a star map. Then, the symbols changed. A deep voice, mechanical and ancient, filled the chamber. Mind recognized. Sequence unlocked. Markin froze. It knows you, Lyra nodded. My ancestors helped build it. That's why I can see patterns others can't. It's in my blood. The device opened, revealing a glowing crystal inside shaped like a star. It pulsed with energy. Lyra looked at Markin. This is the map I spoke of, the map to the lost zone. The place where the true system is hidden. Markin stared at it. And you're the only one who can read it. Before they could say more, alarms blared above them. Intruders in the lower chambers. A loud robotic voice echoed through the halls. They found us, Markin said quickly. We have to go. Lyra grabbed the star-shaped key. This is all we need. Let's run. The lift was no longer safe. Guards would be waiting above. There's a tunnel, Lyra said. Behind that panel. I saw it once during a noble meeting. Markin pushed against the wall. A hidden door clicked open, revealing a narrow tunnel full of dust and darkness. They slipped inside just as footsteps approached the vault. The tunnel was long and curved, leading downward first, then rising again. Their legs were tired, but they didn't stop. Lyra walked without complaint. Her body was weak, but her will was strong. At last, they reached the outer edge of the palace. Near the old hangar, Markin used a stolen passcard to open the bay doors. His Kolga bay doors. Small personal ship sat in the corner, half covered by a metal sheet. They climbed aboard and closed the hatch. Lyra placed the crystal key into the navigation console. The ship's system lit up in blue. A new map appeared on the screen, a dark area of space with no star paths, no travel routes, no signals. The starless zone, Markin whispered. Lyra looked at him. That's where we must go. Just then, red lights flashed on the ships. Screen, warning, enemy craft approaching. 3 noble ships had spotted them. They're coming, Markin said. Hold tight. He pushed the ship into full thrust. The ship broke through the sky, flying above the palace, through the dark clouds. O.F. Velmer. The noble ships followed closely, shooting bright beams of energy. Markin dodged, weaved and twisted through the air. Lyra sat beside him, watching the star map. They'll shoot us down if we stay too long. She warned. We won't stay, Markin said. Hold on. He flew the ship toward a gravity gate, a small warp tunnel used to exit the system. It wasn't stable, but it was their only chance. The gate shook as they entered. A final blast from behind hit their wing. But it wasn't enough. In a flash of blue light, they vanished. Silence. Then stars. The ship floated in dark space, quiet, calm, and full of mystery. They had escaped. Markin turned to Lyra. Her face was pale, but her eyes were shining. You did it, he said. You found the vault. You unlocked the key. Lyra nodded. But this was only the beginning. The true system lies ahead, Markin smiled. Then let's finish what they tried to bury. And in the cold silence of the starless zone, 2 figures, one human. One once mocked as broken moved forward toward a destiny greater than either had imagined. The weapon beyond the void. The starless zone was like nothing Markin had ever seen. There were no suns, no moons, not even dust. Just endless black space, cold and quiet. Their ship floated slowly, following the path shown by the glowing crystal Lyra had taken from the vault. It pulsed softly, pointing forward like a heart beating. In darkness, Markin sat at the control panel, eyes focused. Lyra stood beside him, holding onto the edge for balance. Though her legs still needed support, she now walked with confidence. Her body had grown stronger, but her mind had become sharper than ever. There, she said suddenly. Pointing, Markin squinted. At first he saw nothing. Then, a shape appeared very far ahead. A massive dark structure, almost invisible against the black space. It looked like a floating city, but dead. No lights, no movement. That's it, Lyra whispered. The core of the old system. As they approached, the ship's sensors started to fail. Lights flickered, and gravity shifted. It's like the ship doesn't know where we are. Markin said, "This place doesn't follow normal space rules," Lyra explained. "The machine inside controls gravity. It bends space, hides it." The ship shook gently as they neared the surface. Markin carefully landed on a large metal platform. The ship powered down on its own, completely silent. Markin and Lyra stepped out. The ground was cold. The air was thin but breathable. All around them were huge walls, towers, and long metal bridges, ancient and broken. It was like walking through the skeleton of a lost god. "What is this place?" Markin asked. "It was built by a race long gone," Lyra said. "They created the path system used across the galaxy, and they left this behind to keep balance." "But the nobles wanted to control it," Markin guessed. Lyra nodded. "They feared what it could do. So they hid the map, locked my mind, and tried to erase it from history." They walked toward the center, where a tall spire reached into the black sky. At its base was a round door. Lyra stepped forward and placed the crystal into a slot. The door opened with a deep sound, like a sigh after a long sleep. Inside the chamber, a soft blue glow lit the walls. Strange symbols floated in the air. At the center stood a sphere, larger than a ship, hanging in the air. It was covered in silver lines and small lights blinking slowly, like it was dreaming. "This is the core," Lyra said. Markin stared at it. "It doesn't look like a weapon." "It isn't," she replied. "It's a shaper." "A shaper?" "It changes how space moves. It can open routes between stars, or close them. It can shift planets slightly, or even stop a fleet from jumping into a system." Markin understood now. "This machine gives control over space itself," Lyra nodded. "And whoever controls it can control the future." Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The air became heavy. A warning beeped on Markin's wrist device. "Ships incoming," he said. 6 of them, noble patrols. "They followed us," Lyra said calmly. Markin grabbed his blaster. "We can't fight them. Not here." "No," she said. "But I can stop them." Lyra walked to the sphere. Symbols floated toward her. She placed both hands on a glowing panel below it. The machine responded. Lines lit up across the chamber. Outside, space began to shift. On the noble ships approaching the starless zone, panic broke out. "Navigation is failing. We've lost our jump route. Gravity fields are reversing, pulling us back." Inside the machine chamber, Lyra's body trembled. Her eyes were glowing faintly blue. She was connected to the system now, her mind moving faster than any computer. "I see their ships," she said. 6 total. 2 command class, 4 hunters. Can you stop them?" Markin asked. "I already have," she answered. Outside, the noble ship struggled. Engines failed. Paths collapsed. The space around them twisted, and they were forced to retreat. Back inside, Lyra stepped away from the console. Her knees shook, but Markin caught her. "You did it," he said. "It's not just about stopping them," Lyra whispered. "This machine can give control back to the people. Humans, aliens, everyone." Markin looked at her. "Then let's finish what they started." For the next few hours, Markin helped Lyra set the system. Together, they changed the star routes, blocking noble-controlled space. New safe paths were opened leading toward free worlds and human colonies. The nobles could no longer control trade, movement, or military jumps. They had lost their grip, and they didn't even know it yet. Before leaving, Lyra placed the crystal back into the machine. A message was sent hidden and encrypted into the galaxy. It carried a new map for those ready to rise. Then she turned to Markin. "We've done our part. He nodded. What happens now? Lyra looked at the stars. Now we go back. Not to hide, but to lead. Back in space, the noble ships had retreated. They feared the area now. They called it cursed. Some said it was alive. Others said a ghost system had swallowed them. But among humans, a new message was spreading, star maps changing, trade flowing, paths opening. And at the center of it all, stories began to rise. Stories of a human engineer and a once paralyzed alien girl who now bent the stars. The rise of Lyra the galaxy was not the same anymore. After the secret machine in the starless zone was activated, everything changed. Trade routes shifted. Supply paths moved away from the noble houses. Their war fleets couldn't jump into enemy space anymore. The map of power built over hundreds of years was now broken. And nobody knew how it had happened, except a few. On a quiet moon near the outer edge of the human colonies, Markin watched as the sun slowly rose over the horizon. The land here was peaceful, far away from war and noble politics. But it was not rest he waited for. Inside the nearby dome building, Lyra stood before a group of humans and aliens. They had gathered from across the stars: scientists, freedom, fighters, independent leaders, and explorers. They all came because of the message. A message that had spread across hidden networks, carried in strange signals, and whispered in trading stations. A new path is open. A new order has begun. And now they had come to meet the one behind it. Lyra stood straight, her support braces gone. Her body was not fully healed, but she had gained control. Her voice was clear, her eyes calm. She wore no crown, no royal robe. Only a simple dark coat and a small glowing star symbol on her chest. Markin entered the room quietly and stood at the back. Lyra raised her hand. "Thank you for coming," she began. "I am not here to lead empires. I am not here to take revenge. I am here to build something better." The room listened in silence. "I was born into a house that believed in bloodlines and control. When I began to think differently, they erased my mind. They gave me away as a joke." She paused, but someone they thought weak gave me a chance. A human. She looked toward Markin. He nodded once, quietly. "Together," Lyra continued, "we unlocked an ancient system. Not a weapon, a tool. A system that changes how we move through space. One that breaks the power of those who control star paths." Murmurs filled the room. Everyone knew the nobles had used space lanes to keep others weak. "I have already changed those paths," Lyra said. "Their fleets can't move like before. Their ships are stranded in small zones. Trade is flowing freely now. And the secret will not stay secret much longer. But I cannot do this alone." She looked around the room. "We need a council. A new voice. One that is not built on family names or alien ranks. We need humans and aliens working together, not as slaves and masters, but as equals." Slowly, one hand rose. A human trader from the Mars Belt. "I support you," he said. Then a young alien scientist from the deep stars stood up. "Count me in." One by one, others stood. In that moment, something historic began. Later, Markin and Lyra sat on a bench. Outside the dome, the sky above was dark, filled with stars and moving ships. A new path station blinked in the distance, one of many now opening across the galaxy. "You did it," Markin said. "We did it," Lyra replied. "I was just a voice." "You were the reason I got back up," Markin smiled. "You're not the same girl I met in that hover chair." Lyra looked down. "No, I'm not. I don't hate who I was, but I don't fear it anymore." She looked at him. "Do you think they'll come for us again?" "The nobles?" Markin asked. "Maybe, but not soon. They've lost too much, and they're too busy trying to understand how they lost control." Lyra nodded. "Good. Let them wonder." Across the stars, change had already begun. Ships that Once needed permission from nobles now moved freely. Outposts that had been silent began to grow again. And messages spread faster than ever. Follow the new stars. The system has been reshaped. Someone gave the galaxy back to the people. Back on Velmer, Lord Ravener sat alone in his throne room. His hands shook as he watched the new star maps on his screen. None of his routes worked. His fleets were grounded. His trade lines were broken, and the worst part? He didn't know how. He had mocked the human. He had thrown away his daughter like trash. And now, the name Lyra was spoken across star systems with respect. He pressed his fist into the screen. She was nothing. He hissed, but deep down he knew the truth. She had become everything. 1 month later, a large ship hovered above the neutral station, known as Harmony Ring. It was a meeting point between humans and alien groups, long separated by fear and war. And standing at the front of that ship's platform was Lyra. She didn't speak with pride. She spoke with hope. The stars belong to all of us, she said. Not just those who were born into power. We all travel. We all build. We all bleed. And now we all rise. Behind her stood a new council, mixed, balanced, and determined. Marken was by her side, always silent, always ready. Together, they watched as dozens of ships launched into space. Some were human, some were alien. All carried the same mission: to explore, to trade, to rebuild, without chains, without fear. In the end, the story of Lyra was not about revenge. It was about becoming more than what others expected, more than what history allowed. She was given away as a joke, but she returned as a voice that reshaped the stars, and the galaxy would never forget her name again. The END.